Okay, so if you're a CFO at a big multinational company, you know that managing global payments can feel like you're trying to conduct, I don't know, a dozen different orchestras at the same time. It's chaos. So let's dive into this. How do you actually get control, tap into real economies of scale, and turn that chaos into a strategic asset? That's exactly what we're breaking down right now.
This quote just hits the nail on the head. It's a frustration we hear from finance leaders all the time, and it's a classic symptom of a much bigger problem. See, when every single one of your subsidiaries is managing its own banking relationships, you're throwing away your biggest advantage, your size. That's economies of scale, right? The bigger you are, the more power you should have. But you can't use that power when your payments are scattered all over the globe.
And yeah, that fragmentation, it ends up looking a lot like this, a total maze. Each subsidiary, each legal entity, is basically its own little financial island. And from a central treasury point of view, trying to navigate that landscape is an absolute nightmare.
So what does that maze actually look like on the ground? Well, it's a messy patchwork of different payment channels, unique bank interfaces for every region, and totally inconsistent approval workflows. I mean, this isn't just inefficient, right? It's a huge operational headache and, frankly, a massive source of risk. So let's talk about the real-world impact of all this fragmentation. Because this isn't just about things being messy or inconvenient. This chaos has a direct and often painful effect on your bottom line. It creates this cycle of problems that just keep feeding on each other. And what's really key here is how these problems create a vicious cycle. You've got redundant processes in every single subsidiary, and that drives up your operational costs. This lack of centralization means you have almost zero real-time visibility into your actual cash position. And that, in turn, delays reconciliation and, yep, just like we said, it completely kills your power to negotiate better deals with your banks. And this slide just lays it all out, crystal clear. On the left, you've got the typical reality for so many companies. A dozen different systems, a high cost for every single payment, and only a partial, often out-of-date view of your own money. The ideal, over on the right, is so simple. One central hub that drives down costs and gives you complete, real-time control. So the big question is, how do you get from the left side to the right? Well, the answer is this really cool concept called the payment factory. The whole idea is to stop thinking about payments as thousands of individual, separate transactions and start treating them like a streamlined, industrial-style process. And you can do this using a tool like SAP's Advanced Payment Management, or APM for short. So what exactly is a payment factory? Think of it like a central hub that pulls in payment requests from every single corner of your business. And it doesn't matter if those parts of the business are running on SAP systems or something else entirely. It creates one single powerful layer where you can manage, approve, and process every single payment according to one consistent set of rules.
And the way it works is actually super logical. First, it consolidates all your payments into one single place. Second, you apply your company's rules consistently across the board, no exceptions. Third, the system is smart. It intelligently routes the payment through the cheapest, most efficient channel. And finally, it integrates seamlessly with all your banking partners. Simple, powerful, and totally controlled.
Okay, so that all sounds great in theory, but what does this kind of transformation actually look like in the real world? Let's get into the numbers, because this is where the story gets really, really compelling. Just take a look at this table. You go from having 8 or more regional systems down to just one central hub. The processing cost for each payment? It gets cut by more than half. But honestly, the two numbers that should make you sit up are liquidity accuracy and approval time. Your view of your own cash goes from being basically a guess at 65% to almost perfect at 96%. And approvals that used to take days now take less than an hour. That's insane. Let's just visualize that liquidity jump for a second. Going from 65% to 96% accuracy, that's the difference between flying blind and having a real-time GPS for your company's cash. It means you can make strategic decisions based on what you know you have, not what you think you might have. This is a huge shift from being reactive to truly proactive treasury management. And this number? This is all about speed and agility. When you slash that approval time from days down to under an hour, you're not just moving faster. You're eliminating bottlenecks, you're making your suppliers happier, and you're freeing up your team to focus on strategic work instead of just chasing signatures all day.
And to prove this isn't just some theoretical dream, let's look at how this played out for a real company. A major global conglomerate decided to tackle this exact problem head-on.
Now, this was a seriously complex organization, operating in 18 different countries with all the typical headaches of a decentralized model. So they implemented a payment factory using SAP APM to pull everything together. And the results? Well, they were pretty staggering.
First up, just by consolidating and optimizing how they sent payments, they slashed their payment channel costs by a massive 40%. Then, get this, their cash visibility across the entire group shot up from a murky 60% to a crystal clear 95%.
And finally, by bringing all that transaction volume together, they were able to go back to their banks with some serious leverage and negotiate a 15% reduction in their global bank fees. That, right there, is the power of economies of scale in action. So at the end of the day, this is about way more than just saving a few bucks on transaction fees. This is about unlocking a fundamental strategic advantage for your entire organization.
And this is the ultimate transformation. When you centralize, your global treasury function actually evolves. It stops being this reactive administrative cost center and becomes a proactive, strategic driver of value for the whole business. Suddenly, you can optimize working capital, mitigate risk, and just make smarter financial decisions across the board.
This quote really just sums it all up perfectly. Centralization is the key. It's how you unlock those true economies of scale. It's the path to lower costs, way better visibility, and ultimately, a much higher level of control over your entire global financial operation.
So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Is your current treasury structure built to handle the complexities of the past, or is it actually designed to create value for the future? Today's explainer was based on some great material provided by the experts over at IR4X. Thanks so much for watching.